welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast. I'm Tim McGarry, joined by my comedy colleagues
Michael McDowell
and Damon Quinn.
You're very, very welcome. As you know, on this programme, we discuss comedy, culture, arts. We have a lot of politics as well. We have quite a few politicians on this programme. But this is quite disturbing, ladies and gentlemen. We discovered that our guest today, Colum Eastwood MP, is probably the first Derry man we've had on this programme in 90-something episodes. I do apologise, Colum. That is shocking, isn't it?
Well, that's not shocking because we get nothing.
Derry gets nothing.
As we keep telling you.
You do keep telling us.
We haven't mentioned it before, I don't think.
No, you don't. Well, you see, we actually love Derry. We genuinely, I love Derry. Did a show up in Derry recently in the Playhouse. We go up every year with Give My Head Peace, play the Millennium. Used to stay in the City Hotel, and I would absolutely love the atmosphere up there. Is brilliant.
I've met you in a couple of pubs in Derry.
They know how to run a pub in Derry.
They definitely do.
That's the thing. Yeah, the pubs in Derry are great.
They're fantastic pubs.
It is a great city, and you're a very proud Derry man, obviously. You Craigan man, right?
No, not Craigan.
You're not
sort
Craigan?
of all over the place, but I
originally
went to primary school in Craigan,
right?
Which was interesting and fun. And then St. Colum's College after that,
right?
Sort of well-trodden path, you know.
St. Colum's, is that the famous one where everybody, where John Hume?
Well, John Hume, Seamus Heaney, a lot of them, you know.
Three Nobel laureates.
Paul Brady went there.
Paul Brady went there.
2 Nobel laureates. We should have had 3 probably, but
Brian Friel?
Friel never got one.
Oh, he's not. All right.
But Eamon McCann, of course, as well.
Oh, the great Eamon McCann.
Yeah, exactly. Still going strong.
Eamon Friel go?
Eamon Friel went, I think, as well.
Aye.
I'm assuming he went.
I
think he did go. Yeah, he did go.
I think he did,
Yeah. Well, Colum, you are, of course, MP for Foyle. I first came across you a long time ago at a Slugger O'Toole Awards in Belfast, and when you weren't even mayor at the time, but you were a councillor in Derry. I think were you mayor? And you were about 12 at the time.
12.
I think you were 12. You were Lord Mayor of Derry.
Youngest ever mayor.
Youngest ever mayor of Derry.
That's the greatest story.
That's a hell of an achievement. But I was disturbed to find out. I knew you were young, obviously. I mean, we're of a certain age, but you were born 1983, and you only got into politics when Good Friday Agreement 1998 sort of.
Just around the agreement, just after for the campaign, because we actually ran a campaign for the Good Friday Agreement, the SDLP. So a friend of the family's called Giovanni Doran, great Derry name.
Giovanni
was an old sort of long-standing SDLP member, and he was always coming into our house, and I was sort of fighting with him and arguing with him, and he came to the door one day and said, "We're out knocking doors in the street. Do you want to come out?" I said, "What do you mean? Do you want to come out and help us?" And then I saw Pat Hume walking past. I went, okay, why not? And then, like a lot of us, I was bitten by the bug and couldn't get out.
I mean, were you always drawn to the SDLP rather than the
look, I mean, our house, there was no party politics in our house, but we were political. Like everybody in Derry is political because we were brought up civil rights and all that, and taught that we were getting screwed over really, and we had to do something about it. But Hume was very kind of, you know, large in everybody's life and in our lives growing up, and just that he was the man who was talking sense. I mean, very strong sort of belief in Irish unity, like very strong, but didn't really get why blowing up school or blowing up shops or killing people was going to get us there. Yeah. And turns out we were right. or I've missed the victory party and we've had a united Derry.
No.
But you were also very friendly with Martin McGuinness.
I got on with Martin well, yeah. I mean, the thing about Derry is probably different in Belfast and some other places is it is small. And I always say everyone's from the one street, so people all get on, and no, that's not true. We don't all get on. We fight like cats and dogs, but there is a sense of there's something that binds people together. And over the years, I suppose I would have known Martin well. I fought with Martin as well. We had some very testy exchanges, which I'm saving for the book probably. But no, I think we get on well. We respected each other. I was a different generation, obviously, but I came in. I was leader for quite a period when he was the boss of Sinn Féin up in Stormont, and you know we did have big battles, but we also got on well behind the scenes, and we would meet each other at different things in Derry around the town, and you know, there's things that bind you, like the Bloody Sunday campaign and things like that. People are just together in those things.
Well, like in Belfast, there are big Republican families in Republican areas, but there are also people like you yourself, Damon, you come from a Republican area, but there were families who just never got involved in the struggle, and there are other families who just, you know, did to him. A
lot more, actually. I mean, if you think about the troubles, there's far more people weren't involved and were were against the violence really
Yeah.
than where the SDLP was the largest political party
Yeah.
through the whole period of violence, on the nationalist side because people didn't want it, obviously a big minority of people who did, but no, I think people Sinn Féin's vote went up when the violence stopped.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like interesting.
Well, that's been a big thing. When you the SDLP almost fell on their sword with the peace process, didn't they? I mean, it was kind of...
I think we did. There's 1,000 different ways of analysing it. There's loads of things that could have been done differently. But at the end of the day, the decision was made by John mostly to bring the Republican movement into the fold. And there's nobody will ever tell me that there's one vote was worth not doing that. It was absolutely the right thing to do. I mean, and
Well, I mean,
it was my
he must
choice,
have,
I'd do it.
Hume must have known what he was doing when he was bringing Sinn Féin in. I mean, he was basically, the SDLP was going to fall on that sword. Like.
Well, I don't think he would have seen it like that. I think he would have seen it that there because people would, maybe thank the SDLP for all the work we've done. It's not how it works, and eating bread soon forgotten. But John was for all that. He was people have put him in the sainthood category, and he was a wonderful, brilliant man. Thank God for him. But he was also a political operator that knew politics probably better than most people. You don't survive that long, so he would have known the consequences of that, and I think he would have said, and he did say that it was worth it.
Yeah.
It's easy sitting here. We forget how
Oh
horrible.
no! Sadly, you're younger. We remember.
saw a lot more of
We
it.
remember it pretty
Remember.
I know, but I'm just saying that the kind of people talk about it now as if it was sort of some sort of historic event. There's people walking around.
Well, we
this
remember
town.
'93 in particular, Shanklebomb, Grey Steel and stuff, and John at the funeral of Grey Steel and bits, and a woman going and saying, "Keep going, John," because he was under an awful lot of pressure because he brought Jerry Adams. He was having talks with Jerry Adams, and of course, unionists going, "You're a crypto terrorist because you're talking to them and all of that."
Mad nationalist front.
And
Not just
within 5
unionists,
years.
remember the Southern.
Oh yeah, no,
the Sunday Independent and all them. I mean, who are now all great. John, they use John Hume to top us talking about anything else now.
Bloody Southerners! Why would you want to be in that? Well, for fuck's sake, come on.
Well, some of them are good.
See, if United Ireland, Derry wouldn't even be the second city; it'd be the 5th or 6th city. You wouldn't want that now.
Derry's the centre of the universe.
I sadly never really properly met John Hugh. I saw him towards the end of his life when he was, he was quite ill, and he was in Donegal and stuff. And I've got 2 kids with him. I just said, shake hands with that man, because he is one of those people who will.
Okay, it was fantastic.
He was. Did you know? You were quite young at that age.
I was,
Did you
but
work with him?
it was in his office, when I was a kid, and then every day really, and I was just. I mean, he was obviously getting sick and sicker as he went on, but I'm very close to Pat, and he was just an amazing inspiration. I remember him saying to me one day, we were up at the top of Shipkey Street, and the apprentice boys were marching past, and 17 or something, and we were sort of watching and making sure nothing went wrong, and I was getting angrier and angrier and angrier because a lot of them who saw John were walking past making particular symbols or noises at him.
Not nice gesture.
I get them now, but I remember getting. I said, why the hell do we have to put up with this? Twice a year they come in and we have to close everything down, and they paid us. Why do we have to put up with it? He said, Colum, do you believe in United Ireland? I said, I do. He said, well, look at the demographics of United Ireland. Derry is a microcosm of that. And if we can't accommodate these people celebrating their culture, whatever you might think of it, we're not going to have United Ireland. It was just his brilliant way of taking this massive big problem and going, boom, and a small thing that I could, as an idiot of a 17-year-old, understand,
Well, we know we're friends of the Apprentice Boys at Derry. We did a programme along in the shore. Billy Moore, go around, lovely fella. I don't think he's governor anymore of the Apprentice Boys, but we
not sure if
we went to the burning.
Retired, I think he's retired.
He's retired. We went to the burning of Lundy in December one year, and a very interesting event. But partly because we were there were loads of selfies and stuff. But a really nice crowd. What did you say? I mean, Derry was the fore on all the anti-march stuff and drum crees, which young people won't remember. But the Keelius fell into chaos, and Derry was the one place that said to the Orange Order and to the Apprentice Boys, like, we need to accommodate this, and they were the first ones to kind of break the ice. And
we started all the trouble, and we finished.
Yes. Well, that's true. You did so well. It's Damon McCann, wasn't it?
Actually, I blame him anyway. But like, it wasn't easy, and it took years after that of actually trying to, I would be up in the middle of taking rocks off kids and the petrol bombs. You know, so it would have went on for a long time after that. But I mean, it was a big thing to do.
And there's still a bit of crap over there where people attacking the fountain and all
there's
that.
always that, you know what I mean? But we have to just stand up. But the vast majority of people don't want any of that nonsense, you know.
What's it like being an MP? It sounds like great crack.
Great crack, that's one way of putting it. I mean, the place is mad because it's full of... the last few weeks have been very interesting because the most self-interested group of people I have ever met in my entire life, you know.
Or MPs.
Why, genuinely. And when they sort of... And then I do like it. It's a big... You know, it's a big stage. It's proper politics. It's not like Stormont in that way. But you see an awful lot when... a prime minister's just been deposed and another one's about to set up a government and hand out little jobs. You know what I mean? People are buying me drinks. Who wouldn't have spat on me if I was on fire a few weeks ago? They don't know my name, you know. But
put them down the statues very quickly.
Exactly. It's all of a sudden, you become very popular. But I think it's interesting. And
so we are allowed to say you have an interest in this.
Well, I'm only my grandfather had a grocer's shop in Cookstown, and the taxman came in one day and he says, "Are you the boss?" I says, "No, I'm just the boss's husband." So I'm Louise is obviously my partner, and she's very heavily involved.
That's Louise Haig MP, who's a big supporter of Andy Burnham.
She's kind of running this leadership campaign.
This might go out in a couple of weeks. He could be Prime Minister by the time this goes out.
Anybody can be Prime Minister by the time this goes out. The way things are going.
Well, more or less.
Well, for a couple of months.
Exactly. So anyway, I've become popular all of a sudden. People are trying to, would you put a word in for me, kind of thing? Which is no. And good luck.
I think that's a lot of what focused the mind was that the potential of a lot of people losing their seats, and that's focused the mind for Burnham and stuff.
Well, I mean, it clearly wasn't working under Keir Starmer for whatever reason. I have reasons for being annoyed about Gaza and everything else, and just the way he treats people, and also just he's just not very good at it. And then I think there was a blind panic had set in the Labour benches over the last few months when they realised that actually, you know, this is existential. I mean, and individually they weren't going to win their seats, but just more generally for the Labour Party, it wasn't just going to be a bad election. It was going to be a complete routing, and then the local government elections over there was a routing. I mean, and there's another side of this as well. We're talking about the people who are going to benefit from this are these sort of proto-fascists of reform, which, I mean, for anybody, you don't want that to happen. You know, my view is there's no British government that's going to be good enough for what we need here, and we need to look beyond that. But right now, I'd rather that. I'd rather a Labour government that was doing things for people and trying to reverse some of the stuff that's happened over the last 15 or 16 years than, you know, a bunch of fascists who are a load of like bankers, you know, trying to convince people who are like on their knees that they're on their side. It's just mad.
It's incredible.
It's just all these ex-Tories.
The Trump thing, like you go, what? How does he get votes?
People living in their cars vote for Trump.
Exactly, yeah. But people always vote against. You know, often vote against their own self-interest.
But do they genuinely think he's going to improve their lives?
Well, I think. Well, what they think. So if you think about from Thatcherism right through, and then you had, you know, Osborne, Cameron, and austerity, and then Brexit. Basically, there's big economic factors and decisions made by right-wing politicians that destroy local communities. And then what they do is, well, by the way, that was those immigrants.
Yeah.
You got to blame them. It was their fault. And then people do, because people don't understand big economic arguments like that, and they see their communities changing. So the mines leave or the factories leave, the immigrants come in, and it must be them. It must be their fault that I'm screwed. But it's an old story. It's been happening since the beginning of time, and hopefully, you know, if Andy gets on, he can be a bit of a bulwark. I think he's a good guy. Like, I'll be on some podcast in about a year's time, like asking him for something he's done. But at the same time,
and particularly with the Labour Party, because they all start like this.
Of course,
you know, we're all going to dance around the totem pole of Andy, going, Andy's going to fix it. You know, but when the money men get at him and tell him he's not allowed to do this, he's not allowed to do that, and the bond people and bond markets will say, no, Andy, you can't spend money where you want to spend money. I mean, chances are he's going to bend like they always.
We'll see. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, as I keep saying, I want United Ireland as quickly as possible out of this mayhem, because it is a disaster. UK is a disaster. Like, I think it's collapsing. But he will be a disappointment, but I just think it's better than the Tories and better than Reform.
Yeah, I think it's all started. I mean, it always started with Thatcher, but Cameron as well, one of the worst prime ministers of all time.
Well, he did austerity, which is still destroying communities here, and then they did Brexit.
He has a referendum. For what reason? To save a few seats?
Because he couldn't manage his own party.
Never mind that. Can he appoint you Northern Ireland Secretary of State?
That would be good, wouldn't it? I can see a few heads exploding maybe around this town.
Technically, could he? Yeah,
Could surely, yeah. I've already put my pitch into Louise, and she said no, unfortunately. But I think the peace process wouldn't survive it.
Yeah.
It would be funny
It
though.
would be a statement of intent.
Just come back to your election, like your first election to Westminster. That must have been very personally satisfying. 2019, huge majority.
It was satisfying, yeah. It was satisfying.
Did you expect it? Did you think it was
I
going to
knew
happen?
we were going to win. I didn't think we were going to win like that. But
It was a landslide. It was a big shock.
we got the majority was like 17,000 votes, something like that. Remember, we had lost that seat to Sinn Féin by 169 votes, and I thought Mark was badly treated in that. And that's politics.
Well, he was gutted. I remember he was gutted.
Well, it was really unfair because he'd done nothing wrong, and there's a lot of stories about how some of those votes were piled up. But that's another story for another day. But like I say, it wasn't all 100% kosher. But anyway, we lost, and that's politics. But so there was a fairly strong determination on my part from the day that happened that we would take the seat back. The election member came far earlier than we expected, and all that. But there was just a sense that we had to be there because we'd had Brexit and we'd had votes that were lost by 2 or 3 votes and all that, and people are going, we're the ones getting screwed here, but we're not allowed to participate. And we all know, we're a minority voice there, but at certain times you got to be there and speaking up and voting and all that. So people, I just think we're ready to send a message and do it. So it was good. No, it was nice. It was. I can't deny that.
In Eastwood House that night, was it?
It was on for a while. I can't remember where it ended up, but it was definitely a party. All right.
So there's you and Claire, basically, and then you decided to give up leadership, and you seem very relaxed and enjoying life at the minute. Is that true?
Well, last time I saw you, we was at a concert in
we
Dublin.
went to see Nick Cave in Dublin, or Malahide.
It was great, wasn't it?
You were very, he was absolutely
It
brilliant.
was fantastic.
2 hours, 40 minutes he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is he, 70?
68. He's 68 in a suit. And brilliant.
Unreal.
Unreal.
But I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's,
because being a party leader seems like a pain in the arse in this part of the world.
I swear to God,
I don't want to rain on certain other political parties. Leaders are having problems at the minute, but Ulster Unionists, you can be one every couple of weeks.
It's a sort of a job share thing for them, I think. But I did 9 years and probably did it too early. I was 32 when I became party leader.
Which is very young.
Well, I think it was the first time anyone challenged a sitting leader in SDLP. It was Alistair MacDonald, and I have a lot of respect for Alistair, but it needed done.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do it. I was kind of thrust into it, and then it was just, it was one thing after another for a long time, and most of it was assembly was down, and we were negotiating, and it was just never ending.
Yeah.
I fought 10 elections in 9 years, so. I'm happy to do it. I mean, I can still say exactly the same things that I could say when I was leader, and I could do the same thing, but I'm not necessarily dealing with whatever some councillor in Fermanagh or somewhere says, and all of a sudden I'm responsible for this, you know what I mean? So I'm happy to be.
Yes, internal party management seems a difficulty for every political party.
It's never really my forte. Which people.
But you're a personable guy. Do you have to tell people bad news, and you have to slap people down, or you have to tell people to toe a line, or?
Well, we never really had this huge, big infrastructure of a party or staff, so you end up doing it yourself. A lot of it yourself, and so you can't really hide. And I mean,
have you never thought of getting a crypto billionaire to fund the party? In which case, you would have, you would have loads of people working for you. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
You got much Bitcoin? No, I couldn't. No,
So it was all small, local thing, and
that did my head.
You don't have a lot of money either.
No, no money. So that all did my head. And I mean, but to be honest, I did really enjoy representing the party, and we did fairly big things in negotiations and moving the party around and getting a lot of young people into the centre of the party. We had to move people along, which was difficult. People had been there for a long time. But hey, it's not. This is a you know, nothing changes quickly here.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, really?
It's exactly. That's why I didn't need to tell it. But it's not like Westminster in a lot of ways where things change far too quickly. But here, it's just you think I'm going to say this thing or do this thing, and then something will happen, and then just nothing ever happens. So, and Stormont is a hard place to spend a lot of time on.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say about Stormont. I mean, it's just the argument is increasingly being heard that we're stuck with the same government. Doesn't matter how we vote, we're going to get Sinn Féin and the DUP, no matter what, or a combination of those two.
Well, you don't have to vote that way, as a thing.
I know, but
people think
we've had Matthew Toole on this very show, the leader of the opposition.
That's right. Yeah.
Who's doing great, you know, and I think they argue, but they're up against it with just this sort of duopoly there, and that's why Stormont needs. We're not going into all the details, but that's why Stormont does need reform to allow it to be a bit more fluid, you know. But I don't think. I mean, my view is it's probably reformable at this stage. I think we should do it, and we should do it right and all that. But at the end of the day, I think it's a bait and docket.
But do you think the British politics is effed? Like, I mean, because you've got a nationalist government in Scotland.
Yeah.
You've got a nationalist government in Wales. You could argue that you've got a nationalist government.
Well, you have two nationalist governments at the same time, just
in North of Ireland,
yeah.
right? But so what does that say for? And of course, you know, you might, God forbid, have an English nationalist government in England.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, it's.
I think it's very, very, very plausible. It could happen.
That doesn't say a lot for the UK.
No,
I mean, together, does it?
I think the sort of threads of it are just you know, pulling apart. I'm saying this for a while. I think, you know, it's different for us in a way where we have an advantage because we actually have a mechanism for getting out. Where my friends in Scotland don't. You know, they're kind of stuck unless something happens. And we
could join with them and have Dalriada.
Well, let's just settle. We'll deal with one problem at a time. Our opportunity. The thing about whatever's in the Good Friday Agreement and all that. The thing about this will end up being about politics. So, you know, if there's a hung parliament, which I think is very likely after the next election in Westminster, remember we've been the subject, for right or wrong, or for good or ill, over many years, 150 years of things that have gone on in Westminster Parliament, Home Rule right through to, you know, Nigel Dodds. There will be a moment, I think, where people will say, right, if you want to be Prime Minister, you're going to need to talk to us about what happens next. And, you know, I think that'll be a moment of maximum opportunity for us and maybe for Scotland as well.
So when you left the party leadership, you became, is there a formal job title? You became an advocate for United Ireland?
I was chairing the New Ireland Commission, which is just basically the work we're doing kind of quietly about talking to people in the middle, really. Right. I mean, planning for Irish unity, but there's lots of people doing that. My view is there's a big chunk in the middle who will decide, and that's when
we had we've a very wide selection of people on the show. We had Martin O'Miller, Sinn Féiner, who's on saying we United Ireland your lifetime. He said probably not a couple of generations. He reckons.
Does he?
We had Robin Swan sitting in your seat there, and Robin Swan, and I said no. Robin's very. He said he's not worried. He's chilled. He's kind of going. You know, he doesn't think it's going to happen.
I think they're both wrong. Actually, there's only so long you can hold a thing together that isn't working. People are turning away from Stormont. So I'm a very strong Irish nationalist. People would have said I was in the green wing of the SDLP, but I'm also a very strong sort of socialist, social democrat. And the reason I want United Ireland more than anything is that what we have is shit. Do you know, genuinely, our health service has collapsed, our economy's not good, our young people are leaving. And you look over the border, imperfect as it is, their economy's flying. You know, people have savings and people are doing well. Everybody's got a job. I mean, it's just a totally different thing. And I just think the more and more we see what happens in England, no matter Andy Burnham won't be able to fix the root causes of what's going on there. I think people are going to want out. And actually, we're doing a lot of this sort of focus groups on the Alliance voters, basically. And whatever about the Alliance Party, I think they need to get off the fence. But whatever about them, they're voters. Once you say, well, actually, it's going to look like this, they go, oh, that's okay then. Because they're not bothered about flags or, you know, monarchy or anything like that. When we spend a lot of time saying, oh, what are we going to do about the flag? Actually, they care about the health service, and they care about their pensions, and they care about is there going to be violence. Once we answer those questions, I think it's game on.
But we, with Sam McBride, where you're sitting as well, and he's obviously written that book, Foreign Against United Ireland, with Fitton O'Toole. I read it. It's quite complicated. It's not just it's quite.
I hadn't noticed.
Oh, God, for fuck's sake, there's going to be a lot of work here.
Now, you see, I'm kind of in your account, because I do think it's like Lenin said, nothing happens for years, and then in a week it changes everything, and I do think that's true. I think I don't think the guys who set up the Irish state had they weren't what were in charge.
They were on the war, and then all of a sudden they were on the country.
And it's like that happens in a matter of months. So I do
for a while.
There's a little bit of that too. Yeah.
So I actually do think.
You think it's?
I do think it's. I think you can't have a situation with this, as you say, when the state's got you've got a nationalist party in Scotland. Like all the different constituent parts are actually are nationalist, apart from England, and even as you say, there's an incipient nationalist party sitting there.
Well,
it'll just tip over.
That's really what reform is.
Well, no, they don't. I mean, Nigel Farage would call a border poll in the morning.
Yeah.
100%. He doesn't care. In fact, I think he sort of sees himself as an Irish nationalist. He was big mates with Mary Lou McDonald, if you remember, in the European Parliament. Some people like to forget that, but it was.
Yeah.
But I just think it'll tip over. Momentum will sort of will gather, and that's why the Irish government
if I
is to
give
get
up the
ready.
smoking and the drinking, will I see it in my lifetime?
I don't know, but well, what age are you now?
The best thing they could do.
I've seen you drinking. No, I think it'll be fine.
The best thing you could do, get United, is build a proper fast train between Dublin and Belfast.
And Derry.
Oh, Derry. Okay, we'll include Derry in it. But
You're like me, Hall Martin. I have to have this argument every time. There's other stuff over this side as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, it would be like imagine you could get the Dublin and all.
That's the kind of thing we should have done after Brexit. I mean, I was saying to people, never mind. We should have said, well, how do we actually, physically bring the country together? And real's the obvious way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking, because I remember we did the programs, the Pop Goes thing, and there was people were making the point at the time they were bombing the railway line, and people were saying, well, look, these are the guys supposed to be trying to get a United Ireland, and they're actually cutting off the communications.
Strategic brilliance was never something they were.
Yeah, well, see, that's the
they were
trouble.
always freaking out, in Whitehall when the train line was bombed, or when the furniture shop in Derry was blown up. They were really.
Oh yeah, that shook them to their very core.
That's where
And by the end of that, then.
But you see, there's a serious point there, which is the worst advocates of United Ireland are probably the Shinners.
Well, I mean,
because they come with all the baggage of that period, and they're just unionists are just going to go, no, thank you very much.
well, this is why we're going to work. We have to work with Sinn Féin, obviously, and we should work with them. But at the end of the day, they will understand their own sort of difficulties in this, because we have to convince people who don't like Sinn Féin and like the IRA are still hurting from all of that, and that's why I keep badgering the Irish government to get into the middle of it and try and own the space, because it has to be broad based. If it's a Sinn Féin thing, no one's going to vote for it.
The Shared Ireland Initiative, that's a
Well, my
That's what the
idea.
South give it. Is that your idea?
It was. It came out of. I don't want to talk about this, but it came out of the conversations that me, Hall Martin, and I had about the Fianna Fáil SDLP thing. But they took a big chunk of it out, which was to have it all a part of it for planning for Irish unity. I just seen it disappear like snow off a ditch. But that bit needs to be put back in or put somewhere else to the Irish government.
And the
But
Shared
they-
Ireland Initiative is basically them giving us money, as far as I can
It's
see.
basically giving us loads of money. So anybody in any community organisation, Colum, what about the shared island? It can't just be everything but can ring the bloody ring Stormont or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, they have. They've given us
given
loads
loads
of
of
money.
money.
Like tens, hundreds of millions for the north. McGee's been expanded because of it. There's lots of things happening, but it's good, but it's not everything.
Yeah.
It's a slight cul-de-sac, but I'd be interested in your opinion. Sinn Féin in the south, as opposed to Sinn Féin in the north. In the south, they just can't quite do it, can they? I mean, they fall short every time. Do you think that would ever change?
Possibly. I mean, it's a different electorate, and I think maybe they're a different party in the south as well.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
But partitionist in one way, they're very different organisations, and you're seeing some of those things fray around, the kind of lefty liberal sort of Dublin compared to some of the more rural elements, even within the south, and their problems with how to deal with immigration and all of that. So they are struggling with that, and I don't think it's a hard thing to fix. My view is they should stop trying to be the largest party. They should try and get on as a junior coalition party and detoxify a bit, and then take it on from there. But people in the south are doing well.
Some of us saw this coming, like we saw that. Well, I certainly saw it coming. that Fianna
Oh,
Foyle
thank you, Luke. You're political genius.
Fianna Foyle and Fine Gael would drop the pretense and just basically be one party, which is effectively what they are. They're a bloc that's going to stay there.
Possibly. I'm not so sure, but possibly. I think they're very different histories, as you know, and very different culturally. And that, like, Fianna Fáil would always have seen themselves as the Labour Party, basically, in the south. They saw themselves as that. Certain things would put you off that notion, but they were far more community based and kind of more radical throughout their history than Fine Gael ever were.
Yeah,
But right now they're in the sort of centre.
They used to face their election posters. You see, it used to be Fianna Fáil, the Republican Party, and somebody used to always chalk out they are RE, so Republican Party.
Yeah. Well, don't be slagging public. That's not happening.
No.
Yeah, come on.
Very good pub in Derry, sadly no longer with us.
Somebody's opened it again.
Oh, have they?
Somebody's opened the central light. No, it's good. It's going.
It's a
well.
good spot.
Yeah.
That's
Great
a lovely
pub.
spot.
Yeah, it's good.
Derry is full of good pubs.
It's a great. I mean, Derry's buzzing. I mean, you walk
Yeah.
around Derry now, it's just full of tourists. And going, what the hell are they doing here? But it's
You walk the
it's
walls,
great.
there's hundreds and hundreds of tourists.
They're everywhere. They're literally. It's fantastic.
And Halloween's turned into almost the Derry festival, isn't it?
It has. My dad claims he started it, but it was nothing to do with him. But people running around with funny, furry faces on during the Troubles was a sort of an interesting concept. But it worked. It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's kind of family friendly and all that now too. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
wasn't
the
so
fancy
family
dress
friendly
stuff.
when I started coming out. But
I met a peeler up there one time. He
Yeah.
had the best fancy dress you ever saw. It was a guy dressed totally in black with a big box on his head
Right.
and a flashlight that went through the box.
Right.
And he used to turn the flashlight on, and he stood there, and the cop stopped and says, "What the hell's she?" He says, I'm a traffic camera." When I he got out and got his photograph.
it's the boys walking the next morning. You
Oh,
see,
yeah.
Still dressed as Barbie or whatever. The walk of shame.
6
trying to
o'clock
get
in the
home.
morning, Buzz Lightyear's walking home up Chipkey Street. But it is, there's a lovely vibe up there. It's kind
great.
of,
It's
you know,
great. It's
people in
great.
Derry are very, we go up there, they're very good to us, they're very friendly to us. I mean, they're,
We love seeing people coming as well. I think that's the thing. A lot of these cities that were port cities, I think, are very, like Liverpool. They're very kind of open and kind of up for people coming because they're used. Historically, we're used to people coming with different types of people coming over the years. But we weren't so accommodating. But that's another story.
serious question. Why do you never dye that wee white bit?
Somebody wanted makeup.
you're not just a wee
artist
bit of-
wanted me to swap it over to see if anybody noticed. There was somebody that had like a tricolour in it one time as well. I couldn't be bothered. That's fine. But
It's your signature now.
Well, I think so. I remember coming back. I'd been away in Spain for a couple of weeks after the first year become party leader, and I came back, and Seamus Mullen basically threatened me to get it off. He said, "You look very sinister." I said, "Well, you know, I learned everything I learned from you. You know what I mean?" Sinister. So between Seamus Mullen and my ma trying to get me to shave it off, I just I dug in. So no, I'm happy with it. Don't have to shave every morning.
Yeah, don't do what your man tells you. Don't do that.
Never.
Seamus Mullen, another interesting character from the old days, who was, you know, a giant at the time, wasn't he?
He was a great man. I mean, I got very close with Seamus sort of in his latter years, you know, and you could if you had some big naughty thing to deal with that you maybe wanted him to be on side with or not to be against you, you would land down to the house in Market Hill with a bottle of whiskey, and hopefully you'd somebody driving you. No, you'd always have somebody driving you home, but it was. The bottle of whiskey get finished anyway,
Right.
and you get so many. It's just making sure you remembered what he'd agreed to the night before. The next day, I always had to ring him the next morning. Said, "We're all right, aren't we?" But he was great. It was John Reid said the only person that could make "Good Morning" sound like a threat. It's good at that.
And his relationship with Hume wasn't as cosy as people sometimes make out.
Well, I don't think people ever make it out as cozy, but it was like they were two giants, you know what I mean, and they had difficulties and differences. And then when John was doing the stuff with Adams, basically, he had to keep that to himself, and that was a big toll on him to keep it all to himself. But I do think whilst there was big rows, they would go for a pint after.
Yeah.
You know, when they would be in Westminster or whatever, and they'd have a blazing row, and then they'd have a drink. And like every time I met Seamus at the end, towards the end of his life, he would always ask how John and Pat were, and the same. Pat would always be the same, as, with that. And I think there was a mutual respect, and they'd been literally through the wars together.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's far too much timidity now, I think, in politics, where people don't want to fall out, and you have a row with somebody, then it's
the end of the
taken
world.
personally, and they hold it against
Yeah.
you for years.
Yeah,
They try and
yeah.
get you in the shadows later on. I just think have the row, have a pint, and get over
Yeah.
it. You know, that's always served me pretty well.
We see you're quite unusual as a politician. You keep very content and life's treating you well.
Do you think?
Yeah, and you're
I
not.
don't know
You
if
know,
that's true,
we've
but-
had a few politicians in here, and they're personable and all that. But sometimes you ask them the political question, they go from their.
I mean, I've done it. Do you know what I mean? I've kind
You have
of
to-
was party leader for 9 years, and I'm kind of now in the.
Yeah, your shackles are off. Is that what
The
you're saying?
shackles are off. I mean, I didn't really
Let
know what
Claire
to do
deal with
myself.
that. Claire.
She's doing a great job. I'm happy to let her have all that stuff. So no, I look at, as soon as I stepped down, it was a bit odd. I didn't really know what to do with myself, because you're doing about 3 or 4 jobs at one go when you're the party
Yeah.
leader and you're an MP, and especially when you're from Derry or whatever, you're traveling all the time. So now I'm just an MP, and I'm doing a bit of other stuff, and it feels like I'm on holidays all the time,
So
even though I'm working
if
really
you-
hard.
Physically, how often you are in London, then what's the kind of way? How does it work out?
Kind of
for
go
your
from
year?
I decided not to go last night just so I could be here with
Oh,
you
you
guys.
do that. You do that.
I go usually on a Monday afternoon and then back on a Thursday usually.
Right.
So it depends what's happening, but that's
Yeah.
basically it. And then I'm in Derry from 2 kids as well, so I'm in
Yeah,
Derry
of
with them.
course,
You
yeah.
still live in Derry.
Oh, aye.
You'd never move, would you?
No, Jesus, no, you couldn't. No,
See, I meet Derry people who think Derry's the centre of the universe, and some Derry people who've left Derry think the opposite.
What are their names? Someone was saying to me, I can't wait till there's United Ireland so I can go and live in Mallorca. But no, never leave Derry. I mean, again, I have spent a lot of time going to ferrying people to running and football and all that.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
So they're 2 girls, and
That all has to be done.
has to be done. Someone's got to do it. So no, I love being in Derry, and the best part of Derry, which is Donegal, of course.
Very close.
So no, that's always.
See, we think Derry is probably one of the best places to play for comedy.
Do you think?
Yeah, genuinely, I do.
I think it was always because
We-
we didn't always get very much coming our
Yeah.
way, whether comedy or big concerts or anything. We still don't get too many big concerts, but I think people are really appreciative when it comes. So I know I'm glad to hear
We
that.
made fun of you when you had City of Culture, but we've got over that.
as the mayor of Derry at the time, when
You
we
were the mayor of Derry. Oh, you were the mayor of Derry.
when we got the that was the first week I became mayor, 2011. I had to what happened? The Bloody Sunday inquiry came out. The Savile
Well-
inquiry came out.
Yeah.
So we had to do that, and I'd worked with Bloody Sunday families for years. And the next morning, they were going down to see the president in Arsenal, and I was supposed to go with him, but I couldn't because I had to go to Liverpool to lead the bid team along with Martin McGuinness
Right.
to try and make sure we won the
Well-
City of Culture team prize, and then we did. We're the first ever UK City of Culture, but I remember having to actually speak to Martin fairly firmly because we had to.
It's going to be UK all over this, Martin.
Well, no, see, we had to basically say the council would underwrite whatever cost if things went wrong, and the Sinn Féin leader in the council group wouldn't do it, and so Martin and I had to have a come to Jesus meeting, as they say, and he obviously could see that was something that had to be done, because they were worried about this UK stuff. I mean, I was like, it's the Afghanistan City of Culture. Who cares? Let's take
Yeah.
up bloody money and get it done, and it worked out really well.
Yeah.
It was great. And
It was brilliant.
everybody thought we were mad,
Yeah.
Everybody thought we were mad, but it was fantastic.
I did a big comedy gig in Nebrington Barracks.
Aye.
Well, when the big tent they set up and stuff.
They had the. I
That
can't
was
remember.
class.
That was amazing. I wanted
Except
to
the
keep
bad
that, but
news
they-
was the next year we came over, because it was all funded and stuff at BBC. It was a big night for the BBC, Colin Paddy Keeley and various
Aye.
Colin Murphy and loads of people. Next year, me and Colin Murphy and a couple of other comedians went to the Millennium, and a lot of people in Derry going, I'd like to buy tickets, I'd like tickets for that show that they're having, and the people at the Millennium said, no problem, that'll be £20.50. He said, no, we saw him last year for nothing.
Everything was
Talking about
free.
money? What do
Boys
you mean,
running
pay?
concerts now
Get
have to
that.
give out free tickets all the time because
get
people got so used to it. All these fantastic gigs and everything was free, but sometimes you have to pay your way. We're not great at that. and that's
You're
one thing
you're
we're
not great at that, or booking early, which is another. Anyway, we'll Give My Head Pieces back in the Millennium next March.
right.
Oh yes.
So get your tickets now, Derry people. You'll get your tickets
Good
now.
luck with that. Yeah.
Sorry. So, oh my God, look at the time. We've done very well here. That kind of
Yeah,
flew.
yeah.
Colum, thank you very much for being a guest.
Oh, was that
on
it?
the- Well,
That's great.
Oh no, just one
That was
last
easy.
thing. Just one.
Oh,
last
well, there you go. Whoa.
Here.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, God, well,
You good at
well,
predicting things, like
No, depends.
David
Well,
Ireland, that type of thing. Who's going to win the World Cup? This will go out
oh,
well.
Jesus, no.
This will go out.
I'm slightly worried about this. I'm slightly
Yeah.
worried. I watched the match last night. I don't think Spain's going to.
I
Yeah,
think
we're pretty
if
poor.
we accept that England are going to win it
What?
now, if we now accept
Accept
it,
that, yeah.
then the pain when it happens will be lessened.
Well, I want them to get to the final and lose in penalties. That's what I want.
Right.
But I had to watch.
That's
I had to
very
watch
dangerous. That's a very.
I had to watch the England match, the first one, Croatia, in the famous Stubbshaw Cross campaign headquarters for Andy Burnham, which was
Right.
like just a working man's club with a bar open the whole time.
Right.
Like 400 Labour Party people and me shouting for Croatia. But we ended up singing Viva la Quinta Brigada with Andy Burnham after. So it was a lot of crack. So we've got him.
Right, is Louise supporting England then?
Nah, don't talk to me. She's entitled an Irish passport.
Is she?
So,
Oh, she Irish?
her granny was Peggy O'Shea from East Cork.
All right.
So
There you go.
yeah.
Okay.
Where
So
you
you
get
haven't
this
said
United
who's-
Ireland one way or another.
You haven't said who's going to win. though.
No, that's
I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried that England might win.
They get France, don't they?
I'm
In the
worried
semis?
Yeah, France will win it.
When do we go out?
I don't know, a couple of weeks. So when's the World Cup final?
France
Not
have
that
to
far.
be the favourites, but they're just.
Anyway, predictions. Colum, thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you. I think I collared you a couple of times at gigs. I know where to
I
saw
know.
you.
Apologies for that. Where was it?
Kelly says hello. Well, we met you in
okay.
Derry. We met you in Derry, and we were
We did.
in a very
We had a
couple
nice
of times.
sociable evening in Derry.
A sociable evening. The world was put to rights. Thank you for being on the Give My Head podcast. We will see you next time. Thank you very much for listening. See you soon.